Okay, here's some hands-on lockout training. So this is one of our kind of standard edge fold machines that we build a lot of. Chose this one this morning because it's got high voltage electrical, low voltage electrical, hydraulics, pneumatics, gravity. It's got a little bit of everything. So we'll just kind of walk through here, talk about a few things, and go from there. So when you're locking out a machine like this, you got to think about the power source a little bit. Obviously, here's a main disconnect. In this case, you can see the handle's actually off, and you still have all lights and stuff in the panel. So right now, this machine actually has a disconnect bypassed. See, there's no wires hooked up to it. The reason being is this machine is going to Canada, and it's got a transformer for 575 volts incoming instead of 480. So it's always just a good thing to double check, because sometimes it appears you got a disconnect, but it may not be doing anything. If it may be bypassed for some reason. So give yourself a visual. So in this case, we actually have this machine tied into the wall disconnect over here. So for shutting down main power right now on this machine, you would have to turn this disconnect off and put the lock there when you're done. And then it's just a good practice to get into, to take a multimeter when you're done and just start checking some voltages just to make sure that it really is off. If you were to use this disconnect, if it were hooked up normally, that kills power for everything from the bottom of the fuses on. So you'll still have live power up there, obviously. And if you do, depending on what you're doing on the panel, that is typically sufficient. If you're doing a major overhaul, you should probably have the maintenance at the plants, or if it's in the facility where you're building, make sure that you get it locked out at the source so that it's completely dead at that point. And then you just got to once you get that main power turned off, just double check all your other voltages, your 120, your 24, all that good stuff, just in case someone jerry-rigged a patch cord in for some reason. You want to make sure that that's all disarmed as well, I guess. So there's a little spew on the electrical side of things. I'll walk over here to the pneumatics. So this machine's got two valve stacks, filter regulator, and this one actually has a shut-off unit on it. And it also has, on that shut-off unit, it's got a solenoid. So in this case, that solenoid is tied to MCR. So if we don't have control power, we're not going to have air either. But typically you would lock out your air right here, just like that. See, the pressure went down on the gauge. Put your hasp and your lock right there. That doesn't necessarily mean you're done though. You kind of got to think about all your check valves, anywhere you might have some stored energy. So you can see like all these pneumatic platens are still in a raised position. So right there, that's a pretty good sign that we got check valves. So quite often if you're servicing some equipment in the field, especially if we didn't build it originally or if you weren't part of it, you may not fully understand the schematic and you may not have one available to you. So you just got to do a good visual, kind of do some reasoning, figure out if you got gravity, if you got some check valves, or if you got rod locks or any other things that you got to kind of account for. Yeah, a lot of pneumatic check valves that we use, the NGT ones, they have manual overrides. so you can bleed air out that way. But you just generally got to be careful and be aware of your surrounding with that. Make sure that you relieve any trapped air to a cylinder or to a system that you or someone else might be working on before you just start taking things apart, because it could be a loaded gun in a sense. Yeah, hydraulically, this one's got a big power unit on it. If I remember right, the video talked about blocking plates and different stuff like that. I mean, this ain't that big, so we don't have anything like that. Hydraulics, you've always got hydraulic fluid somewhere in these lines. Hydraulics tend to use a lot of blocked valves. Hydraulic circuits are typically quite a bit more complex than pneumatic circuits, so you definitely got to just be aware of your surrounding. They can be difficult to read and understand, some of the circuits. So if you're going to be doing anything with a hydraulic line or hydraulic cylinder or anything like that, you just got to really take your time, especially if you're going to start disconnecting cylinders or taking hoses off or pipes loose. You just got to take it slow, let the pressure bleed off a little bit. Make sure you're in a safe position while you're doing that. This machine, if you're going to work on tooling just to make some adjustments, this machine, we have a stop block here that we can rotate in underneath the platen. So that way if you get your head underneath here and you want to do some work on some of this tooling down here, you can do that. In this case, that stop block has a magnet switch on there, saturated magnet switch, so it'll actually just like e-stop the machine at that point. So yeah, that's just a few things I've been kind of running through with people. If you got any questions, I guess you know where to find me. Thanks. See you.